Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The important news and editorial that would be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 10th of August. The first important news, that is, can SMRs help India achieve the net zero emissions? India has set target for the net zero emissions by 2070. Second, that is concern over the availability of fertilizers and the subsidy policy. The parliamentary panel has raised concern. Third, that is center to release more food grain stock by open market sale. Second last, that is CAC perform audit report of NSAP. And the last is an editorial, that is seeds for the growth. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming examination. So without any further ado, let's get started. And before I begin the session, if you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do hit that like button. Starting the session with the first news, that is, can SMRs help India achieve the net zero emission? Something important for General Studies Paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation and EIA. So in a quest to achieve net zero emission, India has actually set the target for net zero emissions by 2070. This was in part of the commitment which was made during the Panchamrit initiative which Prime Minister has got. So there's a need to have a comprehensive plans to promote green transitions and made significant progress in terms of low carbon development. If India actually wanted to achieve, we have to make substantial progress in this. Now there's an uptick in the part of the coal consumptions in the Europe. We have seen that despite increase in the solar power, it suggests that for reliable 24/7 low electricity sources, these are critical to ensure the deep decarbonization of power generation along with the great stability and energy security. See, until and unless we will not decarbonize the sector, achievement of the target for any countries of the net zero emissions will not be possible, right? Now, small modular reactor, this is what the theme of our discussion. So in this news, I'll be discussing more detail about the SMR, that is the small module reactors. These are the part of the nuclear reactor that is helpful to India in this particular regard. और इसकी बात करें स्मॉल मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर की, सेंटर ने एग्जामिन किया है बहुत सारे प्रोविजंस को. इन दैट वन important provision is Atomic Energy Act of 1962 to allow the participations of private sector and startup to set up a small modular reactor in the country. Now, what are SMRs and how it is going to help? So, small modular reactor are the advanced nuclear reactors that have the power capacity of up to 300 megawatt per unit, and this is about 1/3 of the generating capacity with regards to the traditional nuclear power reactor. तो जो एक traditional nuclear power reactors की capacity होती है, उसकी 1/3 capacity है, which is approximately 300 megawatt. Now SMR, which can produce a large amount of low carbon intensity, are small modulars and reactors. तो small कहते हैं, that are the physical fractions of the size of the conventional nuclear power reactor. The second is modular, which make it possible for system and the part of components to be factory assembled, जो कि transport भी की जा सकती है in unit located installations. And the other is reactor, harnessing the nuclear fissions to generate the part of heat to produce the energy. Now, advantages of SMR की अगर बात करें, small reactors की, so these are designed to have a smaller module, allowing the easier scaling for the part of the electricity demand. These typically have environmental footprint and generate less waste compared to the part of reactors. So this is one of the major advantages. That is the reason India is also pitching for the part of SMRs. And this can be manufactured and assembled in a factory in a controlled environment, allowing the standardized component and streamlining the construction process. Now, these are generally the lower upfront capital cost compared to the larger reactors. Now, the compact size of SMR market, the more adaptable to the part of various geographical and environmental conditions. And SMRs enable the decentralized power generations, reducing the need for long distance power transmissions and minimal transmission losses. Now you can see in this image, this will give you an idea how does the actually large, small and the micro reactors look like. This is a part for large conventional reactor. For example, Kandakulam is again the one example. For a small modular reactor, the capacity is up to 300 megawatt, and there are micro reactors which is 10 megawatt, right? Approximately that only. So this is how the three categories of reactors are there. Now, decarbonizing power sector की बात की गई है, how and why it is essential, because it is categorically mentioned in the UN Sustainable Development Goal. अगर SDG targets की बात करें, so it is mentioned that to in the SDG Goal 7, it has been mentioned to ensure access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable and modern energy for all. So if you're writing in mains paper, make sure you highlight this. Now, since the world still depend on the fossil fuel, which is 82% of the energy supply, decarbonizing the power sector is critical. This is again another significant point specifically for the mains exam. Now, the share of electricity in the final energy consumptions will increase by 80% to 150% by 2050. So, इस तरह के जो fodder points हैं, you can note that and even utilize in the mains answer writing. Now, challenges of decarbonization, अगर बात करें transitions or coal-fired power generations की to clean energy, this definitely pose a challenge. It's not that easy because it's a widespread consensus that policymaker in several countries and the solar wind energy will alone will not be suffice to provide the affordable energy to everyone. In a decarbonized electricity system with a significant share of renewable energy, the additional list of the one firm generating technology can improve the grid reliability and reduce the cost. Now, according to the International Energy Agency, the demand of critical minerals like lithium, nickel, cobalt, rare earth elements such as clean energy productions technology is likely to increase by 3.5 times by 2030. Now, issues with nuclear reactors की अगर बात करें, definitely it's not that easy. Nuclear power plants generate 10% of the world electricity. This is again an important further point that can help you on the part for generations 180 billion metric ton of the natural gases and 1.5 billion ton of the CO2 emissions every year, right? So you can even calculate the advantages of the nuclear power. The NPP generate 24/7 kind of all-weather generations are there. The nuclear power also provide valuable co-benefits to the high-skilled jobs in technology, manufacturing, and operations. Now, there are some legal and regulatory challenges and changes that is mandatorily required to ensure safety, security, and safeguard control of nuclear reactors. Fuels, radioactive waste must continue in lieu with the government of India. Now, Atomic Energy Acts की बात करें, this needs to be amended to allow the private sectors up to small modular reactor, that is SMRs. Now, finally, the Department of Atomic Energy must improve the public perceptions with the nuclear power in India, better disseminations and comprehensive environment and public health data for civilian reactors which are operational under the international safeguard in India. Now, moving ahead with other news, that is panel concerns over the availability of fertilizers and the subsidies policy, something important for general studies paper 2. That is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So the Standing Committee of Parliament on Chemical and Fertilizers, उन्होंने 2 report tabled की हैं Parliament में. And the report said that the panel has posed questions on the availability of fertilizers and subsidies policy. Now, some of the important parts has been highlighted, and the report has also called for ending the import dependence, which government is also looking forward to reduce the part or end the part of the dependence that we have from the import. So, which are the part of fertilizers that India is mostly dependent? If you see, urea is among one. Then we have TAP, that is diammonia phosphate. MOP, that is muriate of potash, and NPK, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Productions की अगर बात करें, as of now, from November 2022, 28.83 to 81.83 lakh ton has been there, and the consumption was 401.46, 401.46 lakh ton. Now, finding the reason for the shortage, why we are having shortage for that. So the panel ने कुछ important चीजों को highlight किए. They've said that Department of Fertilizers to ascertain, to find out what are the reason for the shortage and why it has been the total consumption is on the lower side. The panel sought the review of the nutrient-based subsidy, जैसे NBSB कहते हैं, they cover the part of fertilizers such as P and K. Now, the committee noted that the GST on fertilizers, that is 5%, and GST on raw material for the sulfuric acid and ammonia is 18%. So, some higher level of part of the GST taxation is also impacted. If you look at the part of the states, the top states with the fertilizer consumption, सबसे ज़्यादा consumption is Bihar, then we have Puducherry, followed by Punjab, Haryana, and Telangana. The top countries with the consumption of the fertilizers include China, then India, United States, Brazil, and Indonesia. Other news, that is Center to release more food grain stock by open market sale, something important for General Studies Paper 3. That is issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies, minimum support price, and public distribution system. Now, concern over the increase in the price of food grain has been seen. A central government ने decide किया है that additionally 50 lakh ton of wheat and 25 lakh ton of rice through the open market sale for the Food Corporation of India stock, जो कि FCI जिसे कहते हैं. This is the agency which stock the part of food grain for the reserves. Now, the government hoped that the sale would ensure adequate domestic availability of rice, wheat, atta, and check their prices. Now, reserve price of rice की अगर बात करें, in the center has decided to lower the part of base price for the rice being auctions by the Food Corporation of India under the scheme of bulk buyer, millers, processors, traders after receiving the muted response in the 6th auction held so far. Now, in July, the government has set a reserve price of 3100 per quintal. This was the initial price that government has set in OMSSD, that is ओपन मार्केट सेल्स स्कीम डोमेस्टिक. उसके बाद इस प्राइस की वजह से जो पिछले बार 5 ऑक्शंस हुई हैं, दिस वाज प्राइस ऑन अ हायर साइड. तो गवर्नमेंट ने डिसाइड किया 200 रुपीज़ पर क्विंटल डिक्रीज करने की, एंड द रिवाइज प्राइस इज 2900 पर क्विंटल. द कॉस्ट ऑफ रिडक्शंस वुड बी एडजस्टेड फ्रॉम द प्राइस स्टेबलाइजेशन फंड विद द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ कंज्यूमर अफेयर. नाउ व्हीट इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी की अगर बात करें, अबाउट 7 to 8 lakh ton of wheat has been auctioned under the OMSS. Initially, wheat offered a sale of to 4 lakh ton, and now it has been reduced to 1 lakh ton on today's e-auctions. About 8 lakh ton of wheat has been sold till date. The weighted average selling price of wheat on June 28 was 2136.36 quintal, and which has gone up to 22,254.71 quintals. These numbers are not important. You can just know the trend whether it is increasing or decreasing. Now, moving ahead, CAG performs audit report for NSAP. So something important for General Studies Paper 2. That is important aspect of governance, transparency, and e-governance. Recently, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India has tabled the audit report of the National Social Assistance Program for 2017-18 to 2021, or generally CAG जो reports हैं, that is tabled. The report is tabled via the president. I mean, they actually submitted to the president, and president tabled it to the parliament. Now, the National Social Assistance Program, which include the part of old age pensions, for publishing the scheme, another part is there. Allocations under the NSP takes with meat for the dispersal of pension under the various sub schemes of the NSAP. Audit reports की अगर बात करें, how does the audit report finding goes and what are the highlights that has been talked about. तो CAG ने अपने performance report में बताया है that Ministry of Rural Development has diverted the fund from the National Social Assistance Program for publishing some of the other scheme. Right now, this become the part of the case study also in ethics paper. You can even use this how the fund utilization is mandatorily required for a specific purposes only. Now, out of total allocations that was given to the state and union territories, 3% of fund thing that was actually meant for administrative expenditure. Now, during the audit, it was instances that diversion of fund by the ministry and the state out of the allocated fund for the NSP was noticed. So, CAG ने इस चीज को highlight किया है and they have reported it. The Ministry of Rural Development in 2016 had decided to campaign through the hoarding by the state and UT for giving the due publicity of all program scheme of the ministry. Now, National Social Assistance Program की अगर brief में बात करें, this can be again important for the exam. So this was launched in 15th of August 1995. It's a very old program. This represents a significant step in the fulfillment of the directive principle of state policy, that is Article 41 and 42, recognizing the concurrent responsibility of the center and the state government in the matter. Now, National Social Assistance Program is a social security and the welfare program to provide support aged person, widows, disabled person, and the person with the part of behaved families, the primary breadwinners belonging to below poverty line in the households. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, that is Seeds for the Growth, something important for General Studies paper 2. That is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design and implementations. So what I'll be discussing under this editorial particularly focus on the theme, that is the sustainable agriculture, adopting a seed technology and how the sustainable seed part is going to help. Share of export in the global market देखेंगे, Indian seed industries किस तरह से perform कर रही हैं, government के क्या interventions रहे हैं and the way forward. So if you look at the part for agriculture and elite sector, these are the central to Indian economy. Agriculture is being practiced by 60% of the population, right? Keeping this in the mind, sustainable future is something that very important. Union government ने इसको देखते हुए promoting technology enabled sustainable farming include की है, and this was the part that was included as a natural regenerative and organic system during the G20 presidency. Also, India is currently chair with the G20 presidency. This will end by November 2023. Before that, India is looking forward to look at the part for sustainable part of agriculture and sustainable environment also. Now, though India has achieved the food security with the productions of food grain reaching 330 million metric ton, demand for the coarse meal, pulses, oilseed, vegetable oil, which is not fully met. Now, in addition, there are not affordable to the part where the population leading to the higher proportions under the malnourished population and the sizable percentage of the child wasting, that is 19.3. Share of exports की बात करें global market में, alongside अगर आप देखें, profitable of agriculture has different part of the component which goes for the global exports. Now, there's a close gap between the potentials to achieve the productivity in most crops and vegetables, reducing the cost of productions, promoting the cultivations and consumptions of the nutritionally rich crops like millets. India have been promoting the part of millet, और इस साल ही इंटरनेशनल ईयर ऑफ मिलेट भी डिक्लेयर की गई है, which is again an important component. Focus on the quality of agriculture produced, that is something is a part of the share of export in the global market. Indian seed industries की अगर बात करें, how the seed industries has taken a transformation. So Indian seed industries was built a strong foundation in 1960 with establishment like national seed corporations, और इन्होंने काफ़ी हद तक जो इंडिया में regulatory measures हैं, even enabling the policy that has helped of late 80s. Introductions of the production of varieties and the Farmer Right 2001 has also released the BT cotton hybrids. Commercializations of in 2002, important milestone for part of achieving and boosted the part of industries for better connect the productivity of the farmers. So seed is ultimately which has helped a lot. अगर आप green revolutions की बात करें, at that time high yield variety of seed was actually used. The focus of the industry should be promoting the varieties of technologies and with the part of seriousness through the climate change. The cost of inputs such as seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, beside all land labor and the part of other measure determined should be there for the profitability of the agriculture. Now, government interventions की अगर बात करें, a robust regulatory mechanisms covering the part of quality, seeding the plantations needed under the newly proposed green missions. उसके अलावा जो G20 में commitment की गई है, that is for the green development. Now, next generation's technology has also included AI-based responses for the seeds, specifically for the external conditions, जहाँ पे moistures और temperatures को monitor की जा सकती है, incorporating the molecule and metabolism such as molecule metabolic cues, biological pathways that require appropriate guideline for the applications. Now, अगर way forward की बात करें, if you look at the part for the conclusion, the fertilizers, that is inorganic, organic, mixed or control orders, this has been amended और बहुत सारी important चीज़ों को incorporate की गई है with the part of biostimulants and the important component for the seed enhancement. These are the two important parts that has been incorporated during the 2021. Now, necessity guideline has also been formulated for the part of concerns department with extensive consultations with the stakeholder registration of the use of biostimulants. Now, new seed technologies की अगर बात करें, the scientific validations and enabling the part of regulatory mechanism is a significant advantage for sustainable agriculture without a little additional cost. So this is how the seed technology has a potential. The technology incorporation, the state-of-art methodology will definitely help to flourish this technology, ultimately helping the part of agriculture productivity and helping with the part of increased income for the farmers. Now moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first questions, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice, आपको जोनल कल्चर सेंटर्स के बारे में बताना है. These are the council that are set up by the Ministry of Home Affairs. The government provide regulatory annual grant in conducting various activities programmed to JCC. Now the second is Agni 5, air-to-air surface missile capable of ballistic missile with air. It can carry both nuclear and traditional weapons, right? So do check out for the correct option. Practicing a lot more current affair question will give you the additional conceptual clarity and advantage in the real examination. We have a lot more other platforms where daily questions are published. You can check out our social media pages as well. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern and queries about courses, admissions, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.